taking place here. So allow me to hand it over back to you, Vivian, unless you would like to inquire about something else. Allow me to hand this over back to you in studio. But of course, we will be bringing you up to date, or our viewer up to date, on what exactly is happening, the committees, and even the resolutions that will be coming out of this Senate Mashinani sitting. It is a 1 week long sitting from today, this is Monday, all the way to Friday. And of course, we will be broadcasting some of the plenary sittings or even the committees live for our viewers to be able to follow on what is happening here. Back to you in studio, Vivian, if you can hear me.
Thank you so very much, Kamche, for that update that you have just given us. As she has said, she has mentioned some of the things that will be talked about in this particular sitting happening in Turkana, and she's mentioned things to do with food security, security in general, infrastructure, among other main things that they will be tackling during these sittings. Now, as she's mentioned, the sittings are expected to take place the entire week this week, from today through to Friday. So you'll just need to keep it right here, keep it KBC, to get to know what exactly is happening, as we will be updating you as they go on with the sittings. Now, how about to get into transformative leaders right here on Good Morning Kenya? And today on Transformative Leaders, we will be talking about job opportunities abroad as well as studying abroad. And joining me for this discussion is the Director General, One Team Career Coaches, Innocent Kipkemboi.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to the program.
Asante.
You're back. You were here some time ago, but we had very little time with you.
Thank you very much for having me back today in studio. I really appreciate for this opportunity. And as you've said, my name is Innocent Kipkemboi Palugate, and I'm the CEO of One Team Career Coaches. Let me just continue from there and tell our people that One Team Career Coaches is an agency based in Eldoret, that is in Safina Plaza, first floor, room F2. And One Team actually is a team of many people in different countries of the world that we came together in order to assist people get opportunities either to study or to work in various countries of the world. So it's a team. Out of the name One Team, it's a team. It's not like it's one individual, one person. It's a team with people in Canada, Australia, the UK, the US, everywhere in the world, Switzerland, New Zealand, we are there. Thank you.
All right, and maybe for someone who is wondering, you can explain to us who a career coach is and what their role is.
Actually, career coaching is not a one-day event. It's something that starts from when a child is born. The moment a child is born, that is where you start coaching that child towards a certain path or direction. So we noticed that majority of our youths, either in primary, secondary, university, or any tertiary colleges, they are not well equipped with knowledge. And they always say that knowledge is power. When you don't have knowledge, or when you don't know, you can never get it. So what we decided is to be able to coach these people, especially those who intend to go to abroad, when they reach the maturity age, or when they reach the time that they want to go to abroad. Why did we do this? Why do we do this? One, it's because many people don't know what are the job opportunities that are available there. What are the career paths that they should take in order to settle down there? Because the education system in Kenya is not similar to the education system outside the country. In the UK, for example, in America, in Canada, it's different. You have to understand that what are the paths, or what are the career paths that you need to approach or to take if you intend to travel abroad. So it starts from way back in primary schools, in secondary schools, and in universities. So that is where we put our energy more, to teach these people that if you want to go to abroad one day, to go either work or study, there are courses that are specifically tailored that will ensure that when you're there, you get to work as fast as possible and you get the best of earnings. For example, courses related to medicine or medical courses or nursing, those are very lucrative courses.
Yeah.
Either if you do it here or if you do it there, they are very lucrative. The courses to do with IT is very, very serious in abroad because the world is transforming towards a world of online or digital world. The digital transformation is very fast and it keeps on increasing programming and languages related to Java. For those people who have done IT, they will understand. And when you are an IT guy, either in Kenya and you want to go abroad, I'm assuring you that if you are doing IT now, or you want to go and do IT outside the country, there is a chance that you will get the best job offers than any other course. For example, even engineering, because engineering, many of the things that are related now to engineering and such courses are much more automated. Many things are much more automated in such a way that whenever they have installed, for example, the electric system here, it's fully automated to a point whereby if there is a fault, it just reports directly to the directors or to the bosses. So there is no more people who will be needed to monitor these things. But IT, it needs the mind. For example, nursing, it needs the person talking to the person. You cannot use a robot to treat someone. Yeah. It has to be people. So we coach people from way back in primary schools and coach them even now. When you come to our offices, we will be able to coach you. You will tell us, I've done this and this. We'll tell you, okay, let's go to this particular country. And when you reach there, do this particular course. Yeah. It will assist you. There are some courses that we need to give people to go, just to go. Yeah. You know, someone just wants to go outside and maybe look for other opportunities. So we give them maybe a small course or a lighter course that will not be a burden to you when you're outside the country. But when you reach there, you can be able to change courses. You can be able to look for a course that will give you a quick PR. For example, in Australia, it's called a PR, permanent residency. The country of Australia is basically giving people PR based on their skills. It is not based in the number of years or the days you have lived in a country. For example, in the UK.
So? Is that so in Australia?
Yeah, for example,
dependent on the number of years you've stayed
in the UK, if you stay for 5 years in the UK, you'll be given a permanent residency. If you finish a 7-year period, you'll be given what we call a citizenship. There's a difference between a permanent resident and a citizen. So in the UK, it's like Kenya, it's based in the number of years you naturalize into a country. But in Australia, it's different because at many times it's skill based. If they are interested with you, for example, teachers, for example, nurses. Actually, teaching is one of the best courses outside the country. If you go to Australia and you're a teacher, there are no more teachers. I don't know what happened, but there are no more teachers. It's like when you are a child of a teacher in this country, way back in the 90s, my mother was a teacher, so I was really well respected. I remember I wore my first shoe when I was in primary. It used to shock many people that how comes you have a shoe? Because I was my mother was a teacher. So back outside the country, teachers are still the demand for teachers is very high. And if you're a teacher either in secondary or primary, you better find your way outside. I have friends of mine in this country who have resigned, who are in the TSC. They have resigned. They have gone to Australia to look for their path into teaching there. Because immediately you go there, you will be given a permanent residency as far as you find your way there. On the issue of job opportunities, one, the first world, we are in the, third world or second, probably third world. In the first world, they have managed to create, to automate many things. For example, from the industries to the service provision, either in the hospitals or in the care homes or wherever you go. So these guys, they have one funny thing. The demand for people who want to go outside is higher than the opportunities or the job opportunities found abroad. For example, we cannot have 100,000 jobs in abroad at once. So what do? We had to find a way of taking our people first to reach there. And that is why we had to use the means of education. The means of education is a mass means. It means we can take even 1 million people outside, either to Canada, either to Australia. why do these people want you to come through education? They are selling education. It's like the way we sell coffee, the way we sell tea, the way we sell our products, whatever we produce as a country. So for them, they have developed high-end, high-tech universities that assist them, that they are selling now. They are selling knowledge, they are selling education. So they'll tell you, we have opportunities, yes, we have jobs and all that. But now you must buy what we are selling. And when you ask them, what are you selling? They'll tell you, we are selling education. You tell them, oh, so if I come through education, I'll be able to work and you'll be able to give me a job. And that is the exact thing what we are doing. Because whenever we get job opportunities, they are very little. They just come and they have already gone. But now education, it's able to take all of us. And they are guaranteeing us that whenever we go there through education, for example, in Australia, you will work for, you will go to school for 2 days in a week. And then you are given around 48 hours per fortnight. Fortnight is like around 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So you have the 48 hours to work, including the weekends, which they pay like double. And then you have only 2 days to go to school. There is no such deal that you can ever get in this country. In fact, now many people who are, the children are finishing Form 4, they're asking, can we get diploma courses in Canada, Australia to take our kids? And you are telling them that yes, we have good diploma courses from the lowest in business courses to nursing and the IT and other courses. And they are much more affordable. If you are to take your child to university in Kenya, you will notice that the cost, you'll have first of all to give that child an upkeep. You'll have to buy them clothes. You'll have to pay rent. You'll have to pay school fees. You'll have to pay so many things. But if a child goes to study in abroad, they will, in fact, they'll be giving you money instead of you funding their lifestyle in a university in Kenya.
Who will be giving you money?
In fact, the student now will work.
Giving their parents money.
Yes, the student will work and they'll be giving the parents.
Paid to study. I was, where?
So you only pay fees and then you work and then you study and work. So immediately the parent is relieved of all the burden. The child will no longer be asking you for rent or anything.
In fact, I want to take you back to,
the opposite.
If you'll allow me, I want to take you back to where you said you have friends who resigned as teachers to go, work in these other countries, like Australia and so on. Does it mean that our papers from Kenya can guarantee you work over there, or do you have to first get into a school there before, you begin to work?
Thank you so much for that question. Actually, our Kenyan papers is very different. Our education system and the education system of the world is quite different. Every country has a different form of education system. And one thing that I want to tell our people is that when you are abroad or when you are in abroad, what sells there is not your papers, it's your skills. If you say I know how to teach, or if you say I am a teacher, you'll know nobody even will ask you for your papers. They'll ask that one later. They'll ask you, are you sure you can teach? Yes, you'll say yes. They'll give you a demo. They'll take you to a classroom. And then they'll put cameras there and then they'll see what you are doing. And if they are convinced, they'll hire you immediately. Sometimes they may even hire you without asking for your papers. I remember I've worked abroad myself, and I worked for so many companies. And as many times, they were skill-based. They could ask me for skills. I could say I can do this, and then they give me a demo. Let's say if you say you can install CCTV cameras, for example, then they'll put their transmitter, they'll put there the cameras, they'll put there the wires, and then they'll tell you, oh, you said you can do it? Sure as. If you are able to do it, they'll hire you. So majority of even our children in university, they focus more on paper studies, learning through reading notes and all that. I was telling people when I was in somewhere else, I told them that if you are in a university or a technical college or anywhere, as much as you go and study in the class, the theory part, focus more on the practical part. The practical is the most important part of it. If you are doing an engineering course, look for someone, a mentor, who is an engineer. Be working with them around when they are doing their work. Learn, be a spanner boy, give them the wires, give them wherever. Because that is what will sell more when you are outside than the theory. They won't mind about the theory or how you know things and how you can explain things. They want to know how you can do things with your own hands. Yes. When
we all find our way outside the country, what do we leave of this country? I mean, the brain drain will be real. If we are asking doctors to resign and go abroad, we're asking teachers to resign and go abroad. What are we doing to our country then?
Actually, we are doing no harm, according to me.
Are you sure?
Because the population in Kenya is very high. We have so many skilled laborers. We have so many graduates every year, every month. From this month going forward now, especially towards the end of the year, we will be having graduations in every university. That means we have highly skilled and educated people who don't have jobs. So by the time in Africa you say we have been brain drained, maybe it may take another 100 years, because we are so hardworking. We go to school, we want to pursue courses, we want to do masters, we want to do degrees and PhDs. That's why even our current president is a PhD holder, is a doctor. It's amazing because there is no any other president in the whole world who is a doctor. Probably this is the only one.
Is that
it tells
so?
you. It tells
I
you.
don't have my facts on that, so I wouldn't agree or
it tells you.
disagree.
It tells you that we are people who love learning. We like going to school. We like pursuing knowledge. So our population, in terms of knowledge and skills versus being brain drained, it cannot happen anytime soon. So let's allow our people to go make money, and then there are others who will remain. Of course, we have others who are joining now the technical colleges, KMTC, and all other places that offer knowledge-based training. So back to our discussion, for example, in our organization. Let's say you come in and you tell me, like, I want to go to Canada, or I want to go to Australia. I'll remind our people that education is the easiest path, the safest and the easiest path that we are using it to take masses, to take as many people as possible. So if you come in, we will be able, first of all, to listen to you and to hear your side of the story, because there is the cost and there is the life outside. You know, many people experience culture shock when they go abroad. I remember there was a time I landed in Amsterdam, and literally I was shaking so much that the airport guys noticed, because I was biting my mouth thoroughly. I didn't know. So we counsel you in terms of, first, the careers available, or what it takes to get those careers, or the cost, the timelines, and then above all, how life is in abroad. Because if you go without knowledge, you might end up failing. In Canada, it's different. In Australia, it's different. In the America, it's different. In Middle East, it's different. You have to learn the nature and the culture of how to survive in these different countries. So each time that you go in there, each time when you come to our place, our offices, we will be able to guide you, so that at the end of the day, you have known what is the cost of living there, what is the cost of housing, what is the cost of life, and how you will start and get jobs immediately. Because we don't give people, we don't give you house and just say you just go. First of all, we go ahead. We have to identify what are the industries within your surrounding, what are the job opportunities, in such a way that if I'm telling you that I'll take you to Melbourne, already I know of specific countries, even job agencies that will be able to give you an opportunity. So by the time I'm seeing you off at the airport, I'll be able to tell you, when you arrive there, look for this and this and this, find this someone, there is this company, there is this industry, so that you don't go and stay for long without working. Immediately you get the papers of that country, the KRA of their country, and the good conduct of that country, you can start the job immediately. So that is how we guide our people from the time they come into the office to the time they fly outside the country. And it never ends. We keep on keeping on and following you up until we make sure that you settle and you successfully blend to the society and the community there.
All right. On that note, we do take a short break, but don't go far. We'll be back with this discussion.
Government of Turkana welcomes you to the Ehale Center in Lodwar Town for the 7th edition of the Turkana Cultural and Tourism Festival. From 12th to the 14th of October 2023. Come, experience the origin of mankind with its unmatched beauty from the beaches of Lake Turkana to the oil wells of Lokichar. Live on Channel 1, Radio Taifa and KBC Turkana Service.
Basi ni hapa watu wanaenda Canada, wale matope ni mamboga hapa na magaro.
Na hii kitu ulikuwa unaona inaingia kwa ndege.
Ilianza paka mahali kunaitwa Boston.
Wewe kazi yako ni kusumbua mtu. Enda rudi.
Chia zangu zimefunguka.
Hololoya.
Saa lingine yenye hata mimi mwenyewe najiuliza Mungu kwani umeamua na mimi.
Lete kiere. Unajua saa zingine unapata kiere mzuri.
Hii masimu ndio natafutia pesa ya kulipa hii chakula.
Wewe mimi si mjinga.
Tuyuno tumeingia matunda na msamaria mwema mpaka tukafika hapa. Huko kunataka watu weko na sura mchiri, watu weko na mcheko ndio wewe wisienda uko west. Amakaya hapa kwako mtu anaweza chinyongea.
You want me to stay here?
Yes. I'll go with you. I want to be with you because I love you.
Belle might end up getting involved with my brother.
Trying to see their faces, but I cannot see them. And we cannot file a complaint with that. That's not an evidence, Rahina.
Found out that the new patient that calls herself Irene Avila is an imposter, madam.
An imposter?
Yes. I just saw her official identification and she registered with a false name.
Vijana chapakazi wenye nguvu za ziada.
My youth, uko na talent ya kusing, spoken word, kucompose jingles ama any other unexploited artistic talent. Gava through Ministry of Information, Communication and the Digital Economy na KBC sasa wamekama up na project ya kupromote usanii called Studio Mashinani. Hizi ni studios ziko grassroots and they are fitted with high quality state-of-the-art equipment where you can produce quality audio and video music content for free. What's more, wanaoffer mentorship na talanta yako itakuwa promoted on KBC Channel 1 TV, Y254 na radio stations za KBC. Tembelea Studio Mashinani huko Comarox, Langata, Sauti House Mombasa, Kirwara huko Gatanga, Kitui next to Manyanyoni Chiefs Camp na Kisumu City wako hapo KBC Station. Usilalie talent. This is your chance to commercialize and popularize your talent through Studio Mashinani.
Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya, and we continue with the discussion that we were already having, and that is on job opportunities and studying abroad. Now, Innocent, I would love to know how far you go into assisting after they land into these countries that you have taken them, into this foreign land. For example, say accommodation for someone who does not know anyone in that particular country. How far do you go with assisting in that?
Thank you so much for that question. I always tell people, like, going abroad, either by whole studying or jobs, is not a one-day event. It's a process. And I always tell people, don't even wait for the last time. You should look for me, call me whenever you have that interest, as early as possible. And then, as I had said, the differences between us as one team career coaches and any other agency is because, first of all, we go ahead of you. We don't tell you we are taking you to Germany that we have never been. There are some people who can tell you they'll take you abroad and they don't even have a passport. So the first thing, we go ahead to different countries, to different destinations, and we make sure that we have analyzed the life or the cost or what it takes to live in a particular place. I always tell people, like, abroad is like Kenya. Like, let's say Nairobi, Mombasa, where I come from, Eldoret. Eldoret, for example, if you go to Moi University, you'll find that the cost of living is very cheap and the houses are very cheap and affordable. In Nairobi, you'll realize that life is very fast. It runs, things go very fast, and it's quite expensive. So when we say we are taking you, let's say, to Sydney, Australia, we are telling you that Sydney is the capital city. The reason why you will be here is because there are more job opportunities than any other place. And then now, what I do, specifically my agency and myself, is I want to take people to places that there is cheap accommodation, because there is a very serious housing crisis around the world now, especially in the first world countries. You will realize that majority of the houses that you will get are what we call shared accommodation. It's like a big house. They're not, in Europe and in America and Australia, you don't just build apartments everywhere like we do in here in Kenya. There is controlled development. So there is a very, very big crisis of housing, like even as we talk now in Australia, there are no more houses. And then you don't just pay rent and deposit. In abroad, for those who are not aware, you have to write for an application. You have to apply to rent a house. You have to give references. The references must answer. You have to give someone that in case of anything, they'll pay for your rent. You'll have to follow due processes in order to settle down. So what we do, we go ahead, we identify what are the available accommodation, so that by the time I'm telling you I'm taking you to this particular place, I know there is someone or there is an accommodation that we will just, maybe you'll need to go and provide the necessary documentations, and then you settle in. But now that one we cannot guarantee, because accommodation is just like any other country or anywhere else. You'll have to go prepared. We will only guide. But when you reach there, you are free to look for wherever it really fits you best, or where you start from.
When you say you have to go prepared, you also have in mind the matters to do with cost, because as you're saying, it's seeming very like it's very easy.
What I want to say is this: I always like taking people to village destinations, places that are not congested, places that life is not expensive. Because if you go to America or Europe, you will notice that development is all equal. It is not like here in Kenya, where in Nairobi is overdeveloped, or 50% of GDP is in Nairobi. No. There, even if you go to the deepest part, let's say Kitale, where I come from, even if you go to Kapchorwa, even if you go to like Kitui, you'll find that the systems are all equal. The life balance is all the same. In fact, they did that purposefully so that people do not crowd in specific cities, so that people can scatter. So the cost of living, when you go towards the deeper parts, it becomes lower. But the wage bill remains the same, and there is work. Of course, there can never be lack of work in first world countries. That's why they are first world. There are industries, they run 24/7. There are hospitals, they run 24/7. When you are entering or you're coming to the shift, someone else is going out. Another one will come. It's a continuous process that never ends. And that is why they have really managed to develop themselves to levels that it guarantees us, or people like us from poor countries, immediate job. Because you're paid per hour. Actually, when we say per hour, for example, in Australia, you're paid, let's say, 30 AUD per hour. If you calculate that, you will realize that you are earning a lot of money than even a member of parliament here. Let's say if you are working full time. So why are people going? And majority of these people, they'll not tell you, because this is their secret. Where there is money, people don't shout. That's why banks don't have loud music. The people in these countries, they are very silent. They are making their money and they'll never tell you. So when we are taking you, we will be able to tell you that this is the destination, this is the accommodation, availability of accommodation is this way, the cost of living is this way, and the people surrounding you is this way, and even Kenyans who are there are this and this and this. You can go and you interact and get that community, because life in abroad can be really lonely. So that is the difference between us and any other agency. We want to walk you through the journey. We want to go with you beyond just the airport. That is what makes the difference between us and anywhere else.
Okay, so for someone who's listening into this discussion, and you say the easiest way to go is through education, but they don't want to go through that route, of education. They want to go and start learning. Maybe which countries recognize the Kenyan degrees and masters? I know that you've said mainly it's skill-based, but you can't tell me as a nurse, it's skill-based. You need to have the papers. So which countries recognize the Kenyan degrees, the Kenyan masters and PhDs?
Actually, the systems in Kenya, they know that education in Kenya is very, very difficult because you have to study some courses all through, even the ones that may not help you. For example, I don't want to talk about any course, but there are some courses that you... that's why there were some people who say when they go abroad, the first thing they do, they ask mwalimu wa maths some questions. I don't know why. But I'm not saying maths is not a good course or maths is a difficult course. And I love mathematics. Yeah. And generally the courses offered versus abroad, it's almost, in fact, I'll say the Kenyan courses are much more higher. If you hire a Kenyan and you're in abroad, you will notice that Kenyans are very much sharp and they understand things better. So what we are telling people is that your degree and your certificate and your master's is well recognized. The only thing you need to
Would you mention the countries?
Like Canada, like Australia, like America, like New Zealand. I have people already working in New Zealand, Switzerland, and their papers have already been accepted and they have been given job opportunities. In fact, now there's a difference between jobs in abroad. There are professional jobs, and then there are jobs that you startup jobs, for example, in the warehousing and care jobs. These are jobs that are not professional, but they pay equally. All jobs in abroad, even gardeners, they get paid equally because they have set a specific wage bill that even if you're a gardener, you must be paid that amount of money per month. Even if you're a house girl or a maid, that is the amount of money that you must be paid, and it has been set by the government. So immediately you settle down, you'll be able to use your papers to navigate. But make sure you get professional registrations. If you are an engineer, make sure you have registered and you are in the engineering board list as an engineer. If you are a nurse, make sure you are an RN, as a registered nurse. Make sure you have the registration. You've been registered in Kenya as a nurse, because immediately you learn that they'll ask you for a license. Even if you are going for education and you want to start working as a nurse, they'll ask you for the RN or the registration. Are you registered? Are you a registered nurse in your country? So these are the things that we coach our people. We tell them, oh, you want to go this way, you want to go on skills. Sometimes there are some people that may say there are no jobs now. And then someone is a nurse and they want to go work for a nurse. They sometimes tell me, can I get a certificate course for nursing or certificate course for something else? And then when they reach there, they will abandon whatever they were doing, or they'll go slow or defer courses and then go to work full time. Before I forget, currently we, as I had told you, we have a confusion here in Kenya, whereby parents don't know whether they should take the kids to universities here or universities outside the country, because the cost is almost the same. So what I wanted to tell our people is that we have very affordable colleges and universities in Canada and in Australia and in the UK. With as little as, for a business course in a diploma or an advanced diploma, with as little as 350,000 to 450,000, you'll be able to get a school. And we must take advantage of these schools.
That's for a school year?
Yeah,
350?
350,000 Kenyan shillings to 450 if you are doing IT, to 600 if you are doing nursing.
For the entire year?
That's what we call deposit, 60% deposit. And then immediately when you go there, you will be able to work and pay the remaining 40%. In less than, I'm guaranteeing you that if you work, you in less than 3-4 months, you'll have paid off your entire fee for that semester or for that period of study.
So all you need is the 60%.
So you need 60% deposit of school fees.
Okay.
Which is at many times from diploma courses, it's around 350,000. So instead of you taking your child to university here, take your child to university in Canada or in Australia. And I've given you the cost, the rough estimate of the cost. So for those who want to go to universities, for example, for degrees, I will assist people. I'll assist you get a school for around deposit of around 900,000, 850 to 900,000 if you are going for a master's or a degree. So what we do is that we place people to the cheapest campuses, to the most affordable universities. And why do we do that? It's because we understand the cost of living. Kenya now is very difficult. As they say, mambo haisongi. But we make sure that we give you the best and the most affordable courses in terms of diploma, degree, and masters, and even PhD for those who want to go to do research courses. So be guaranteed that you will get a school for diploma with around 350,000, that is deposit, and then now the cost of the cost of the remaining cost, the flight, the accommodation, it's manageable. The lion part, or what I always call the elephant, is always the school deposit. Okay. That one is always the elephant. The moment you have tackled that one, the remaining can be now manageable.
Okay, as we wind up with this conversation, this is one sector, and when I say this, I mean the agencies and companies that are responsible for taking people outside the country, maybe for work or school. It is one sector that is full of scammers. We have to just agree, you know. It is full of scammers. So many people get duped, you know, just from telling them, you know, we'll take your kid, I don't know where, or don't know where. We've seen that even in the case that was just very recent at Uasin Gishu. So just, are there regulations for this? And how do we know that yours is legit? Are there regulations, like for someone who's seated at home and would love to go through that path? How do they begin to pick, you know, which agency to work with, which one is legit, which one is not?
First of all, the reason why we're having these all drama and problems that we are facing is because of the desperation. The kids are desperate, the parents are desperate. And I always like talking to the parents, because the parents at the end of the day are the ones who pay, the ones who remove their money, the ones who sell land, the ones who sell cows and whatever. So if you're a parent, don't rush. Take your time, analyze, look around. Avoid things that are politically instigated or politically created. Because we have almost 100,000 Kenyans now. Towards the end of this year, we'll have 100,000 Kenyans now, let's say in Australia. 100,000 Kenyans, where did they go? How did they manage? Ask yourself, which agency did they use? You'll find that private companies like us, we don't even touch your money. If it's school fees you pay, we just show you this, the account number for the school. If it's any payment, you do it yourself. It's Visa, it's online. There is no way we can scam anybody. I don't even understand how these people get scammed, because at the end of the day, if you go to somewhere that they tell you, give me your money, give me the school fees, or give me that money, put it in my account, don't accept. Even if it is the sweetest deal, refuse. Demand to pay it for yourself. And then Google, always Google. If they say this is the place, or they say this is the destination, if they say this is the job, go to Google. They'll always give you an answer. Don't just be duped and end up in the hands of unscrupulous traders. And then for those people who have lost their money, there are so many people. The cry is so loud. So many people have lost money, either to agencies in taking people to Qatar and many other destinations. I really want to say sorry for that, because it's painful. It's hard to get the money, and it's so painful when your money just goes by the air. So we are guaranteeing our people that, first of all, we give you surety for our services, and then a surety for your money. And then third, we are a religious agency. We are people who we fear the Lord. The Lord, in fact, is our shepherd, and that's why we never lack. So for everybody who will want to do business with us, you are guaranteed that your money will be safe, and it will be safeguarded. Okay. And we, as I wind up, I'll want to tell our people that we are located in Eldoret, Safina Plaza. That is F2, the first floor. And majority of our work is online. Even if you are in wherever you are in the country, we can still work, because everything now is digital. And then my phone number for those who want to reach me is 0719 565618, 0719 565618. You can call me if sometimes my line is so busy. You can drop a message on WhatsApp, or you can follow us also online. One Team Career Coaches in Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and you'll be able to get our contacts there and to get to talk to someone, and one of our people will be able to assist you, get the knowledge and the placement, and then invite us. Lastly, before
we need to wind up.
Lastly is that we are career coaches.
Okay.
Invite us to your churches, invite us to your any function where 2 or 3 are gathered. We are able to come, we are able to send someone, so that we share this knowledge and we come together and assist our people get the best deals and not be duped for whatever reason.
All
so
right.
thank you very much for having me in studio.
Thank you, Innocent,
Amazing.
for sharing all this information. I believe that you have gotten to pick a thing or two, but all I will say is always do your due diligence. This is where we call it a wrap on this particular conversation, but don't you go too far. In a moment, I'll be back and we will be talking about substance abuse and recovery.
Government of Turkana welcomes you to the Ehale Center in Lodwar Town for the 7th edition of the Turkana Cultural and Tourism Festival. From 12th to the 14th of October 2023. Come, experience the origin of mankind with its unmatched beauty, from the beaches of Lake Turkana to the oil wells of Lokichar. Live on Channel 1, Radio Taifa and KBC Turkana Service.
One year in office, 23 ministries. Time to review the journey in implementing the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. What is your assessment of the government's performance? Will they ace the performance test? Tune in to KBC News at 9 p.m. for the government scorecard.
Nani kuna. This is Request, the biggest producer in Kenya, the hope of Kenyan music, and you are tuned in to Grapevine.
The Alliance Francaise last Friday held a vibrant celebration of diverse musical expressions. Magazine Awards Afrima last week unveiling the winners of its various award categories for the year.
Yeah, wacha nikuse, usiniogope baby. Leo na finesse na ujana.
I am the thing that makes a hit song. Without me, there's nothing in Kenya that makes a hit song.
문성수 실장을 죽인 범인이 우리 준수진이를 납치하려던 것도 다 알고 있어요.
CCTV 폴더가 사라졌어요.
왜? 아, 그게 말이 돼요?
진짜 없는데요? 오 마이 갓.
And we are back, and right now the conversation that we are about to have is on substance abuse and recovery, mainly recovery because September is the recovery month, and we are just looking into, for those people who have been addicted, who are addicts rather of drugs and have been abusing drugs for years and are trying to get out of it. Is it possible or is it not? As the recovery month is coming to an end, it is only right for me to have in studio people that can tell their own stories. And joining me right here on my immediate left is Anne Matthew, who is the NACADA Board Vice Chair, and she is also an alcohol recovery. And also I am joined by Boniface Ndirango, who is the chairperson, Addiction Prevention and Recovery Association of Heroin. Association of Kenya. I'm sorry about that. It's the heroin that's in my mind. And not, okay, I said that very wrongly. I'll take my words back. It's the fact that he is a recovery addict yes. From heroin and many other substance abuses. You've said more than 10 drugs.
Yes, I'm a poly addict.
Woo.
We call them.
Okay, so the discussion is starting right now. And if you may, I may just begin with you, Anne. Can you just tell me how that was for you? How did you get into addiction, alcohol addiction?
Okay, thank you for having me this morning. Yeah, my name is Anne Matthew, a recovering alcoholic. I'm sober. I've been sober for 18 years now, and I'm also the vice chair NACADA Board of Directors. It started when I was a young girl, and I got my first drink from my dad. I got my first cigarette from my dad when I was about 10 years old. So actually, children will take drugs from people they trust. In fact, actually, they don't take drugs from strangers. For a child to take anything that they are not used to or anything that they are not knowledgeable of, it will take that person, first of all, to establish a rapport with that child for that child to accept gifts from them. So most of the people who introduce children to drugs are people that the children trust. So you see, like my dad giving me alcohol, no one saw it being bad. I never saw it.
I can imagine. How was that? How was he? How did he get to a position to decide to let you try alcohol, to let you try cigarettes at only the age of 10?
He was an alcoholic. He was a functional alcoholic himself, and being a functional alcoholic, we say addiction is a brain disease or brain disorder. So first of all, my father was a very sick person. So whatever he did, he never saw anything wrong with him. Because he used to tell me, when you grow up, I want you to be like me. So he was my role model now in even cigarette smoking and drinking. Yeah. So it was not an everyday thing, but then later, as we say, addiction is progressive. Later, when he died when I was in Form 1 in 1977. And so I didn't go for loss and grief counseling. I never processed that loss. And so I started now sneaking alcohol and drugs into school. And that affected my education, and I failed my exams, and I was in Gandu Girls. And so I joined Kenya Polytechnic, and the same thing happened. Being a government-sponsored student, we used to get a boom of 500, and that was in 1981. So that was a lot of money because alcohol, a bottle of beer was going for 3 shillings and 50 cents. Yeah, so I was one person that was seeking attention. I was an attention seeker. And I didn't care whether it's negative or positive, as long as people stopped on their tracks, just because of me. So I started organizing for dancing competitions in the colleges in Nairobi. In 1982, I enrolled for Miss Kenya beauty contest. I came second. So I became a model, started modeling for African Heritage. I made advertisements, made calendars for different companies, and I had a lot of money and a lot of free time because now interest in college. I didn't have any interest in college. And because now I was getting a lot of money at a very tender age. And that is what actually messed me up. So even when I got my first job, in 1983 and actually lost that job because of drinking. And that's the same year that I got, in 1983, my firstborn daughter. And also relationships had a contributing factor to that. And that's why we say we cannot pinpoint as to what the real contributing factors are towards addiction, because there are so many along someone's life. So toxic relationships, one, I was abandoned by the father of my child. So again, I was in a new town, a new mother in a new town at a very tender age. And then lost that job. Then I got another one in Pan-Africa. 3 years down the line, I lost that job because now my drinking was so bad, I had to drink in the morning in order to function. So I used to have very bad withdrawals. And so I used to drink in the morning, actually, to be able to function. And to go through the day, I had to conceal alcohol in the water system of the toilet because I was in the housekeeping department.
Okay. If we may get the story from you, just how did you get into drug abuse? You've abused so many drugs, you know. Which one started and how did you get into it?
Just to pick up on where Anne Matthew was left, my first influences of people that, just like she said, people that I valued and people who could influence my own behavior. There was this guy who I used to play football with. He was a star playing for the national team. I was a soccer player myself. I was at the age of 17. And he had undue influence over me. Peer pressure is a serious thing for kids between the age of 16 and 24. And we see that is why a lot of young people at that period of time are very vulnerable. I was no exception. So we started off with, things that look harmless, a puff of cigarette during the holidays, little miraa, but they were doing it, so I could pass a few and I would try. Then one day he decided that he's going to give me a treat. He had come from Southern Sudan and he had won a competition, and he decided to take me out to Hilton to have my first beer. It looked very harmless because it was coming from a tap. I was used to beer that comes from a tap. Yeah? So I thought, now I'm growing up, These are the same people who influence each other. And people of influence are usually family, friends, people we look up to, and during that age we are trying to. So that's how I got started. It wasn't long. The same person who gave me my first cigarette, my first miraa, my first alcohol drink, also gave me the first shot of heroin about 8 years later, in a very moment of we had lost somebody we really loved. And people think it's all about fun. Yeah? Sometimes it's about loss and pain, emotional pain, like Anne Matthew mentioned about unprocessed grief. The death of my auntie, who was very close to me and who had taken care of us when my mom died, when I was very young, really kind of was too heavy to bear. Just thinking through a traumatic childhood, neglected upbringing, and the potential for a young person who is going to school, who is playing good soccer, who is also smart in class. I was okay. I was in Sarai Boys Center. I went to the University of Nairobi. I was playing for the national team by the time I was 18. So my star looked bright. But the challenge of peer pressure, the challenge of starting to use, and the onset of illness, because I developed asthma because of smoking, contributed to my downhill trend. And for the next 10 years, in my 20s were the worst downhill you can imagine. Vivian, if I told you I've lived in the streets for 3 years, you can believe. I've slept under bridges, slept homeless because of heroin addiction. So yesterday I was watching clips of the heroin epidemic in Mombasa. I was one of those people. But now I'm 20 years clean.
20 years.
Chairperson of rehab centers in Kenya. I've helped thousands of people, more than 5,000 I can count. I have 6 rehabs of my own. We have brought together all rehabs. We are working very closely with Anne and Nakada to bring up, and that's why we are excited to be here, to bring up the hope, that actually we do recover. And I'm not the only one. We are so many. Yeah? I've gone to conventions where we are like 30,000 of us, people in recovery around the world. Yeah, one day it will come to Kenya, and I think we do a world convention of people in recovery. People who actually quit. And we are so many. Some people prefer to keep anonymous because sometimes of the stigma. But we are quite a number of us who make it. So if there is any addict out there, any addict whatsoever, or alcoholic, or gambler, or sex addict, whichever addiction, the truth is that we do recover. And if you apply yourself, you can recover, and we can help you. Maybe this is a discussion we can start on. What are the next things we need to do? What are the support systems available? What can we do to ensure that less people are exposed? How can we intervene earlier? And those are the things I think we'll be very happy to look at.
Speaking about what do we do to intervene earlier, because that was my next question. How do we avoid getting into drugs? How do we go about that for someone who's not into drugs at all, but just for them to know that, for them to keep, to prevent themselves from getting into it despite the pressure, probably they're in campus, and in campus there's too much peer pressure. How do we go about avoiding?
Very good. And you want to? Oh, I'll go for that.
Okay. By one, public education, awareness, creating awareness about the effects of drugs. And then, like Nakada, we have age-appropriate programs that are running in schools. They've been brought to the schools. And so we want to start educating children as early as possible. Because you see, it's like the parents have neglected the children, not neglected per se, but has left the children to the teachers, to the teachers to do everything. So every time a child does something, ati huu mwalimu wao, hii shule yao, that is not the thing. And then we also have another program called positive parenting, so that the parents should create time to be with their children, create a rapport whereby they can actually discuss anything with their children, and mostly about drugs, about sex abuse and all that. So primarily it's public education, awareness, sensitization, and programs in schools. We are also working closely with the faith-based organizations, because at least the pastor meets the congregation at least once a week. So those are people, that's a platform where we can actually make use of, train the faith-based leaders, so that they can take the message down to their congregants. Yes.
What are the dangers of abusing drugs?
Wow. Yeah. Just to add a little bit of what Anna said,
yes, please.
Before I move to what you've asked about the dangers. Building on just what she said, there's about 100,000 health promoters that are coming up in the next, I think, launched by this government. It's a big population of people that I suspect Akina Ann can really use to influence the prevention programs, because these people will have, almost every health promoter will have only 100 homes to look at. Now from those 100 homes, it is very possible to start identifying some of the risk factors if these people are caught properly, because risk factors are evident. There is a science to prevention. It is possible to just look at a population and know, here we are going to brew quite a number. We are brewing crime, we are brewing rape, we are brewing because of the risk factors available. You can just see them. And we start to mitigate against those risk factors, community-based approaches to reduce risk. And to increase what she also said, the protective factors. What are the things that are available for people who eventually are able to manage or whether through peer pressure, substance abuse? What are those things? Recently, I was talking to a friend of mine who I asked, by the way, we have been in recovery for a long time. Have you ever seen us, we were asking ourselves, have we ever seen a scout, Boy Scouts, who has come to our program? And we were finding it so difficult to get a child who went through the Boy Scout system. So what is it? Those are the things we need to look at. What is it about those programs, about SCAD, about Boy Scout, Girl Guide movement that creates a level of knowledge and skill level that help these people navigate the pressure. No, the dangers of drug abuse are many. And first off, personally, because I was a former heroin injecting user, I shared needles. That's the time I got a disease from the needles. It was called hepatitis C. That was a serious thing. I thought it was going to kill me, but fortunately we got medicine for it. So I've had medicine for it. That's one. There are people who share needles and get HIV. You know, there is a lot of trauma around first time. You don't have to have a serious heroin addiction for you to start experiencing some of the dangers of addiction. A lot of times, and we don't have interventions for this, and I'm hoping NACADA is going to develop early interventions in college-going students. That's the first time they go to drink. A lot of girls lose their virginity at that time, and planned by boys who give them drinks, make them so drunk, and use them during that period of time. They think it is fun, but it is a serious trauma for that girl. Very serious trauma. So we need to start developing interventions and awareness of even first-time use and safety nets, community safety nets. And those are where the community health promoters will come in. You know, we train them on how to reduce harm as young people experiment, how to be there and to be available. I've been trained in Israel, and that's a big program they have. Because young people will always experiment. Young people will, people will drink. They started drinking long time ago. They used to drink. Now what can we do to reduce the harm? And that harm is the one that sometimes leads to addiction. Because if you have a traumatic event happen, like for me one day, we lost someone. We lost somebody. Somebody's girlfriend was raped and he committed suicide. So those harms, and on this road of Nairobi, if you come over the weekend, by 5, those accidents have been cleared because of traffic. You have to clear them quickly. There are quite a number of people who die 3, 4 a.m. driving, coming out from a rave, dying. People don't get to see it because it has been removed by traffic. Okay. Quite a number.
I'm being told we need to wind up, and I feel there's a lot we've not gotten to touch on. I feel like there's so much we've not touched on, but we need to wind up. I'm being told I need to finish right now. So I think we'll find a day to come continue with this conversation, because there's still a lot we need to talk about. What about a person who is in recovery and they relapse? What about them? How do they get back? The stigma behind recovery, and people who have been able to recover from this particular vice, which is drug addiction. When they come back to the society as clean people, do we accept them? We'll need to find time to talk about all this. So I think you're okay with us finding time some other time?
Yes.
All right. We have to finish this discussion right here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing.
They say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Newly promoted Heidenheim secured their first ever point in the Bundesliga. And who else would pave that way for them but Dortmund?